So I'm going to talk about why we need a national law in New Zealand, which Chris Martin finished his talk with. So this dovetails with his last comment very well. So in New Zealand, any member of the public has the right to make a petition to Parliament about anything which they are concerned about, which they think members of Parliament should do something about. And there are a lot of petitions every year. In January last year, I made a petition to the New Zealand House of Representatives, to the Parliament, saying that New Zealand needs a national law to control light pollution. Now, you make this petition online. There's a very severe word limit, so the petition is very condensed in its wording. And this is the petition I made to New Zealand, that the House of Representatives introduce legislation to limit light pollution following similar laws in France and Croatia. Of course, that's not a full list, as we now know, covering public and private exterior illumination and ensuring light is only used where and when it is essential. Then, as part of the online petition, you have to state the reasons, also very condensed. Light pollution from artificial light at night, ALAN, can harm human health by disrupting circadian rhythm and the production of hormones such as melatonin. ALAN has an adverse impact on many species of fauna and flora, some being driven to extinction by 24/7 illumination. Excess ALAN wastes electricity, so has an adverse economic impact. Reducing ALAN can promote dark skies and astrotourism, especially at Matariki. Less light can sometimes make our streets safer, especially by reducing glare. So those are the reasons on the online petition. However, I backed it up with a written submission, and this is my written submission, much longer and explained in much more detail. There are copies that you can pick up on the back table. I've photocopied 75, so half of you can take away my written submission. I wrote this 2 years ago. It's already out of date, but this is what the Parliament got. And what was the response? Well, people were invited to sign the petition, to endorse it, and 1,371 people did. If any of you were in that group, thank you very much for your support. I've got no idea who these 1,371 people are, well, mainly not, and the closing date for signatures was a year and a half ago, so it's too late to do it now. My MP, Sarah Pallett, from the Labour Party, she's no longer an MP, so that's sort of caused a bit of disruption. We've had a change of government, but she was very supportive, very good, intelligent woman who presented it to the House of Representatives, and she was also on the Petitions Select Committee that received the petition in the first place. So I had a lot of support from other organisations that made written or oral submissions: Royal Astronomical Society, the Royal Society of New Zealand, and the New Zealand Ecological Society, thanks to Ellen Searide, who endorsed that, and the International Astronomical Union, all, the then President Deborah Elmer-Green, all made written submissions to support my petition. So thank you very much. So the background for the petition is, I think, human health is now the driving force for dark skies and abatement of light pollution. This movement was started by astronomers 50 years ago, but now astronomers are still calling for dark skies, but now I think there's been a huge change in emphasis. It's the human health impact, because everyone's interested in being healthy. Not everyone cares about looking at stars. A lot of people care about the environment, and we now realise that light pollution has a very detrimental effect on the environment. So the real case comes from, first of all, human health, secondly, environment. Thirdly, the economic impact is very important because you can save a lot of money. Maybe a third of all the electricity that goes into street lighting could be saved if the street lighting were better directed and installed. So that's, and if you tell a politician you can save billions of dollars, they start being interested, whether they're interested in astronomy or tourism or anything else. So light pollution is obviously bad for astronomy and bad for astrotourism. And in New Zealand and other countries, there's a lot of awareness now about the cultural heritage of our indigenous people and Matariki and Maori astronomy. The fact that Matariki is a national holiday every year, probably the only country that has a national holiday related to anything astronomical. And if you say you can make streets safer with better lighting, less glare, that's also an argument. So New Zealand has 54 district councils, and my colleagues Steve Butler, Nalani Davis and others have given a lot of advice to our district councils, Mackenzie District Council included, where we are now. Also there are 12 city councils. It doesn't make sense for us to be giving advice 66 times over, duplicating that same advice. It's a huge effort, we're all exhausted. If we had a national law, it would be so much easier. We need a Lighting Control Act for the whole country, especially because human health is not going to be a concern of local government in this country or any country. Human health is going to be a national concern for the Ministry of Health, and the environment's a concern for the Ministry for the Environment, not for local government. And local government officials just don't have the expertise to keep up with all the technicalities of modern LED lighting. They don't have the expertise. So we've got to have a national law, and we should base our law on what other countries such as France, Croatia and Chile, and as we heard from Jana, not just those, but those are the ones I knew about, and we should study those laws. And this is what the French law has essentially. The law takes into account of the effect of light pollution on flora and fauna, and floodlighting of buildings is curtailed, subject to a curfew. The upward light ratio, how much light goes upwards, has to be less than 1%. Reduction of glare. The colour temperature, which controls the amount of blue light, should be less than 3,000 Kelvin in towns. Already that's quite a lot. Or in France, 2,400 to 2,700 Kelvin in rural areas. Light trespass is banned everywhere. Searchlights and lasers are strictly controlled. And the amount of illumination on the ground in towns is 35 lux, 35 lumens per square metre on the ground, or 10 lux in rural areas. So the Ministry for the Environment in New Zealand did recognise a little bit about light pollution. Hasn't been a lot of interest from the Ministry for the Environment in New Zealand on light pollution, but there is something that came out this year on that. And New Zealand, as we've heard, is still pretty dark, but the 8 dark sky places in New Zealand are protecting places already dark from light pollution. But the real need is to reduce the light pollution in the cities where the people are living, because that's where the human health detriments come about. So, as you can see, New Zealand, especially the South Island, is a very dark place, but we want to reduce the light pollution in the cities, and we're going to reduce the impacts on human health. So, there's a comparison of Europe with the light pollution as observed from space compared with Australia and New Zealand and a few other countries. And there is our very supportive Sarah Pallett, my MP, who is no longer a Member of Parliament because she was kicked out in the last election. but we presented the petition to her. There I am with my wife Vicky and Sarah Pallett presenting the petition last year, and the requirements of a Lighting Control Act, which we are advocating. I think it's very important in cities to reduce these ghastly illuminated billboards. There's safety hazards, there are light pollution. How many minutes was that, please? 2. Right, that's perfect. So these illuminated billboards, they're so ugly, they are a distraction to drivers because they change the advertising sign every 5 seconds, and they really cause unnecessary light pollution. People should be encouraged to draw the curtains or blinds across their windows rather than letting light stream out into the environment. We should have motion sensors should be mandatory. In Mackenzie district, everywhere, all the street lighting now is 2,200 Kelvin here in Tekapo, Twizel and Fairley, main communities in Mackenzie. So they're all low colour temperature LED lighting. And sports grounds should have their floodlights off by 10 p.m. Actually, I myself have no idea why people need to play sport at night. Why not play during the day? This is a rugby mad nation, but they seem to have rugby matches at night. It's quite ridiculous. Should be stopped. I had one response to my petition from the Lighting Council of New Zealand, which is a body with about 24 lighting engineering companies as its membership. I've got to stop, but the Lighting Council said national legislation is too heavy-handed. We didn't have any professional input, total nonsense. We ignored the existence of Australia and New Zealand standards, where it's all referenced in here about the standards, which are guidelines, not laws, and well, a lot of other nonsense. They agreed that the local government's legislations are not well harmonised throughout this country. That's true. That's one point I agree on. So this document is free to pick up on the back table. 75 copies, so please help yourself. Thank you.